And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about the player grades from this Philadelphia Eagles loss. Before we go ahead and jump into those grades, I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to LeVar Arrington, who was announced as the NFL legend that is going to be coming back in Week 11 for the Washington Commanders. This is huge. As a lot of former players have started to make appearances now, and they rave about this new ownership. Just tells you just what type of direction this Washington Commanders team is in. They're in a good space. And so as we shift focus and now look a little bit more into these grades, I want to start with the players that really stood out here. And so, I think that this is pretty interesting when you start to look at these grades and start to see, some of the players that kind of stand out. So some of the top 5 offensive grades: Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., talk about John Bates, and then Jaden Daniels. And so I think that they're right on par here, especially with Zach Ertz. I think that Zach Ertz did a terrific job for us. 6 receptions, 47 yards. Obviously, he had a touchdown, so I think that that boosts him. And I think Austin Eckler deserves to be right there at the top because Austin Eckler, yes, he didn't do a whole bunch on the ground, but I think he did an outstanding job really leading us in the receiving game. And I thought that that was going to lead to some bigger plays for the Washington Commanders. He was like one of my key players in this game. Just thinking about the mismatches that he could possibly have and just being able to take advantage of that. 8 receptions, 89 yards, but he was had an 11.1 average. So he was getting chunk plays, which was huge for us. And then, with John Bates, look, 2 receptions, 17 yards, 8.5 the average, which that's right there as far as up there with what Zach Ertz was doing. He had 7.8. I think the difference here is that Zach Ertz gets into the end zone and obviously the volume. So, I think both tight ends were great for Jaden Daniels. Obviously, that's where he had to go because he couldn't get the ball down the field to Jaden, or not Jaden Daniels, but Terry McLaurin. So with Jaden Daniels, look, I know it's a loss. I still think that he does well. I think that there's a lot of good takeaways from this. I think that he's going to have to really figure it out from here because there's going to be games where they are going to take away the scramble. And so what's next? And the one thing that I love about Jaden Daniels is he's not rattled. And I love that about him. And I think that he has shown that he can beat you in the pocket. And so I love that about Jaden Daniels. And I think that that's something to be really excited for as a Washington Commanders fan, that you have a quarterback that he's a legit dual threat. Like, it's not just running the football. Like Jaden Daniels, if he had to stand back there in the pocket, I have supreme confidence that he would be able to light up a secondary. So I think that that is right on point with him being up there. It's unfortunate that he had the interception. I think he would probably be a little bit higher. So as far as the bottom 5 in this one, talk about Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, Noah Brown, talked about Brandon Coleman. This is probably right on par with just what happened in this game. Just the fact that we were not able to get the football out there to our wide receivers, like that is tough. And then, with Jaden Daniels out here, it was a tough afternoon. Okay. I think that the Eagles really, they dominated, they dictated the way the game was played. And I do think that, there was a level of physicality that they did take to our offensive line. So I could see where we were struggling right there. And I think that this is probably appropriate, and I'm surprised that they don't have Terry McLaurin in there as far as being in this bottom 5. He might have been 6 because, like I said, just the wide receiving core, I don't know what it was. They just couldn't get it going. Defensively, I love how we have Mike Sainristil out there. I've been talking about Mike Sainristil, and I've been talking about just how impressed I've been with him really since he started to get in. Like, he looks like the player that you rave about on tape when you seen him coming out of Michigan, and you see him making this play in the end zone, a ton of confidence. And I don't have a doubt that Mike Sainristil is going to be a big time player for the Washington Commanders. Like, I like what I'm seeing on tape with him coming up with run support, but the confidence now, he seems to be a lot more loose back there in the secondary. You can tell like that personality's coming out. And I think he's going to be huge for this team, especially when we get Marshawn Lattimore out there. Like, I think that this secondary quietly, it's going to get a huge boost as he continues to play games because he's getting better. We already know what Marshawn Lattimore is going to bring to us. And then, with Lattimore, I think that St. Juste is learning, even though he's been beat the last couple of games and stuff like that. I think that he's going to get better. And so, look, he was right there with us. Speaking of St. Juice, he was the, fourth best here. So he had a better game than what he had against Pittsburgh, which is huge. That's probably going to get even better when you get Lattimore out there. And so I think we're going to be fine there. Frankie Louvu, I think that he's playing with a ton of energy right now. He's getting back there. He's getting sacks. He's causing havoc. So I liked what he did. Mike Davis stepping in. We needed him to with Lattimore being out. So he did a great job. And then Bobby Wagner going sideline to sideline for us. He's almost like the quarterback on defense. And so when we look at the bottom five here, this is where it gets interesting because you're seeing that we have defensive end Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler Jr., right? We see our DTs. This is kind of where the game was, I think, lost in a way because we lost inside and we weren't able to get enough penetration and stopping Saquon Barkley before he started. And then also, too, just getting some more pressure on Jalen Hurts. And so I understand this. I think that this is probably accurate because, yeah, we just got dominated up front. We weren't doing a whole bunch of things good enough to get this W. And I just think that they had got the Eagles to start off the way that they wanted them to. They just couldn't finish the football game in the fourth quarter. And so Percy Butler, some coverage stuff that he probably missed, but still, I think that it's more so on the defensive lineman here. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking as far as these grades in the bottom five, top fives. Do you agree with this? Once again, this is on Commander's Wire. I think it's pretty interesting when they go over these pro football grades for the games and things like that. But make no mistake about it. I think that this is just a learning game for the Washington Commanders. I think that they're going to get a ton better. And defensively, even though it was a rough night against the Philadelphia Eagles, it's not like you're going to be facing the leading rusher in the NFL every game. And so I think the Washington Commanders can get better here. You're going to get better production from your wide receiving core, and they're not going to be able to bottle up Jaden Daniels or Brian Robinson Jr. like this all the time either. So it gets better for the Commanders. We're going to be talking a little bit more. We got a long week ahead until we play again, so it's going to be interesting. So this is Rico. This is Washington Commanders Insider. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.